Hey everyone, it's Drummond. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you know whenever I'm posting my next video. So in today's video, I wanted to do some Q&As where you all ask the questions and I give you the answers. So I asked on Instagram for you all to ask me whatever you want and I have to be honest. So I figured that I would do a getting ready plus Q&A video mixed in one, since apparently everyone wants to know what I do to get ready on a daily basis. So let's get started. So the first thing that you all wanted to know about me was what has been the hardest thing that I've had to deal with during this pandemic. And honestly, I feel like in a lot of ways, I dealt with things on a very different level than a lot of people, because I did have a job and my job wasn't impacted by the pandemic, but I did end up losing my job, but that had more to do with the downsizing and buying out of Sprint from T-Mobile and all of that fun stuff. I also dealt with a breakup, mainly due to the fact that we lived further away from each other after the army kind of sent him away. So for me, I kind of had to deal with that breakup on top of the pandemic, on top of the stress that everything else was going on during the pandemic. Of course, for those of you that have watched my channel, you knew that I also had my car engine explode. So altogether, those things were all kind of very stressful for me. But I would say that the most stressful thing that I've had to deal with was my car engine exploding, having to try to get that fixed during a pandemic where so many places were closed, and then finding out that it was cheaper just to get rid of that car and buy a new one. So trying to purchase a car during a pandemic was also rough, because that happened like right at the beginning when things were really starting to shut down hardcore. Okay, so question number 2 is, what inspired my positive talks? So for me, I feel like 2020 was a really intense negative year, whether that had to do with elections or some of the social justice movements that were going on, as well as, of course, we were going through the pandemic. So for me, my positive talks were kind of inspired by me still wanting to be able to collab with my friends that originally I had planned to travel and see during 2020, but of course the pandemic kind of canceled that for me. So I wanted to add something to the world, and when it came to my usual social media posts, I felt like I wasn't really doing a lot of justice for the things that were going on. So I really just pulled back and asked myself what I could do to still create stuff, but put stuff out there that would make a difference in a good way. So that's where my positive talks kind of came from. So the next question is, are you single? And I feel like I get this one so much on my social media platforms, and as of right now, in September 2021, I am single. My last relationship was the person that ended it almost a year ago now. We tried really hard to make it work, but when it came to him being in Italy and me being here in the United States and the pandemic, it made it almost impossible for us to kind of make it work, because we had planned a lot of trips to kind of see each other when he found out that he was going to be stationed over there. And of course, that did not work out. The next question is, who's my favorite singer? And I feel like anyone who has followed me on social media for a while probably knows this, but it is Carrie Underwood. I have seen her in concert multiple times. So for any of you that are Carrie Underwood fans, leave a comment down below and tell me which one is your favorite Carrie Underwood song. Because for me personally, I think Wasted was my favorite from her first album and was my favorite for most of her career, but here recently she did put out Love Wins, and I think that that became my new favorite Carrie Underwood song. Next question is, who's been my biggest inspiration? And I think that for me, it was my grandfather, just because he was one of those people who he always wanted to learn more. He always wanted to know more about people. He believed in connecting people. Like my granddad used to host parties on his streets that he lived on so that the neighbors could get together and hang out once a year. And he did that in both his hometown as well as at the farm where we lived, because he wanted to be able to get to know his neighbors in both areas. And it was always kind of inspiring to me because he was also a doctor during the AIDS epidemic. And when it came to working with patients, he was rewarded for working with them and not wearing his like hazmat suit type thing, just because he said it made them feel less human. And I think that that's an amazing thing, especially since I came out years later, and that's something that he did before I was even born. So it's kind of nice to know that my granddad was there and supporting LGBT people before I even came into existence. Okay, so all showered up, all clean. So your next question is, let's see, what's something that I struggle with? So I feel like for me personally, something that I struggle with is wearing myself down too thin, because I feel like there are so many different things that I want to be a part of, that I want to help and fix in the world, but it's a lot for one person. So for me, I think that that would definitely be my biggest struggle, is knowing that there's so many different things that I could be a part of, and I just don't have enough time. And I feel like a lot of times I will sacrifice things that I should be doing for myself to do things for other people. And I'm having to kind of learn not to do that as much. So the next question is, what is something that I hope happens in my life soon? I mean, personally, I would love to see my life coaching business really take off. I've been working really hard on creating seminars for it, as well as kind of creating some structure so that I can start doing one-on-one coaching with people. And I think that that is definitely my number one priority right now. But I would also love to kind of make some friends, maybe even a relationship that kind of are like super supportive of that side of my life. Because I feel like I've got a lot of people that support me when it comes to YouTube. I feel like there's a lot of people who love and support me just in general. But I feel like when it comes to people in my life that I can talk to about my coaching, there's not a lot of people. And the ones that I do have in my life that are kind of coaches, they're really busy. So it's not always easy for us to kind of collab and work with each other. Okay, so this next question is, out of all my positive talks, which is my favorite that I've done so far? And honestly, that is so hard to answer because there are so many episodes that I absolutely love, like the ones that I've done with my close friends where they opened up and shared their stories, as well as some of the ones where there's just topics that needed to be talked about and we dove deep into it and weren't scared of kind of walking into some harder to talk about subjects. But I would say like my number one live that I've done is probably the one that I did with August, just because he talked about himself and his journey of being trans, and it really touched me to kind of hear how authentic and open he was about his life and the fact that, I mean, it hasn't been easy. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that the LGBT community isn't always as accepting as you would like to think we are. And it was kind of eye-opening to kind of talk to him about that. Okay, so the next question is, what shows am I watching right now? And honestly, for those of you that know me, I just moved to the city, so I just gained access to like all the streaming platforms, which I have added memberships to pretty much all of them. But ones that I've been watching here recently, I know that American Horror Story just put out season 10, so I've been watching that. Shadowhunters is another one that I've been watching on Hulu, mainly because I've been reading the books about Alec Lightwood and Magnus Bane from the Shadowhunters series, and I just loved the fact that there's a gay couple in the show and you kind of get to like watch all those cute moments. I've also been watching Vampire Diaries. My little sister got me into those because those are some of her favorites, and we kind of watched some of them together, as well as RuPaul, because I had never really gotten into RuPaul's Drag Race, and a couple of my friends that I've made here suggested it one night when we were hanging out, as well as my friend's boyfriend was in one of the seasons, so I figured that maybe I should kind of watch this season so I could actually understand what that's all about, and I've actually really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I have. So question number 10 is, what song would I listen to before a positive talk to get me in a good mood? And honestly, here recently, it's been The Devil in the Details by Rosé from RuPaul, mainly because it's got a really good beat, and I feel like the part where it's like, get out of your head, boy, I think that that's something that I have to learn to do, is get out of my head, because there are so many times where like I'm in this space just mentally and I have to pull myself out of it to kind of get the things done that I need to get done. And that song just really starts to like get me to like move my shoulders, and then I start like shaking my hips, and then I just get into it, and then like I am just ready to go. So the next question that I was asked was, do I meditate daily? And as you can see, I've got a poster back here about meditation. And that's something that I've been getting into a little bit more recently, just because I think that it's a great way to kind of clear your mind. And like I said just a second ago, like I need to clear my mind. I have to kind of put myself in a positive headspace to kind of do the work that I need to do. So with my positive talks, with my coaching, with my seminar building, with my book writing, all of that requires me to be in a really good headspace mentally. And like a lot of my friends have said in a lot of the positive talks that we do, like meditation doesn't necessarily mean that you get on a yoga mat and you kind of have to have complete silence. For me, I think a lot of my meditation happens like while I'm walking, as well as like when I'm in the shower. I kind of just stand there and allow myself to kind of just let the water wash over me and allow it to kind of just clear my mind and just kind of focus on feeling the water like hitting my body. And I think that for me, that's been a really good like sense of meditation and a great way to kind of get me in a good headspace. So the next question that you all had for me was, what was my favorite book? And honestly, right now, the one that I am reading is The Mountain Is You, mainly because, as it says, transforming self-sabotage into self-mastery. Like, there are a lot of things that I do to self-sabotage, and this book honestly puts it all into like really easy to read paragraphs, and it breaks it down into so many simple things that is so easy to understand that it makes me realize that there are things that I've been doing for years, probably my whole life, that has been very self-sabotaging to my success and happiness. And this book just kind of breaks all of that down. So for those of you that are interested, definitely pick this book up. It is worth every penny that you spend on it. And honestly, this is something that I will probably gift to so many different people in my life, because I think that there are just so many people that could really use the advice that's in this book. And of course, the other one that I absolutely love is Think Like a Monk. Jay Shetty is very similar to everything that I want to do in my life, whether it's with the YouTube content creating or the life coaching that he's doing, as well as all the other things that he's jumping into these days. But if you haven't read this one, I highly recommend it, because he puts things into this beautiful book, and you can just read it and just kind of understand the process of his journey in life as well as some of ours, because it says think like a monk, but what he does is he takes what he learned from being a monk and applies it to our day-to-day life, so that you can kind of think more like a monk and have the peace of mind more like a monk, but still kind of function in your day-to-day life. So the next question that you all asked me was, what type of cologne do I wear? And for me, there are several different ones. I don't have any specific cologne that is kind of like my signature scent, but these are kind of some of the ones that I've used. So this one is a discontinued scent from Abercrombie & Fitch. It is one that I've worn since it came out back in the day when I worked for Abercrombie, and I've kind of used this one sparingly because it's the last of its kind, and if anyone has this one, please send it to me because I'm running low and I absolutely love this scent. And another one that I've discovered recently is this one here. So I went into a Macy's and I told the woman that I wanted something that smelled kind of like leather. I have this weird thing where I just absolutely love the smell of leather, especially if it's like a new car leather smell. So I walked in there and I was like, I really want something that kind of smells like that. And she nailed it with that scent. I absolutely loved it. It was great. So definitely check that one out. Another all-time favorite of mine is going to be the Agua di Gio by Giorgio Armani, mainly because when I was little, I actually bought this my freshman year of college, and the first time I ever wore it was when my family and I went on a cruise in the Caribbean. And for me, it was like the scent that kind of defined that adventure for me. So every time I kind of spray myself with this, it kind of brings me back to those happy memories. So this is definitely one of my favorite scents. There are times when I run out that I kind of don't buy it again because I feel like it kind of loses its like memories if you use it too often, because it'll tie itself to new memories. But this is usually the one that I will spray on myself when I'm going on a date. So as you all can see, we've got Carrie Underwood back here. It's a signed copy of one of her photos, and then the confetti that's in the frame is actually from her concert when she sang Love Wins at the end of her concert, and the confetti kind of comes down. I just kind of opened up the bag that I had because I bought one of her t-shirts as well, and I just kind of let the confetti fall into my bag. It was rainbow colors, but where I was standing, the blue and the orange were kind of the only colors that were falling on me. I guess the other colors were a little bit further away from us, but absolutely amazing. The next question you all asked was, when is my birthday? And I just celebrated my 33rd birthday. I was born on September 5th, 1988, which was actually Labor Day. So my mom was actually in labor on Labor Day. So question number 15, you all asked me, who is my favorite YouTuber? And I would say for most of my YouTube career, I have followed Connor Franta. He's just one of those people who comes alive in his videos, and I absolutely love like his quirkiness as well as his creativity. But also, I would say Jay Shetty is definitely someone that I really enjoy on YouTube, mainly because his content kind of inspires me to think of different things, as well as kind of helps guide me on my journey in life as well. Question number 16 is, what do I look for in a guy? And I get this one all the time, and I always try to tell people that it's not something that is like physical appearance wise, it is more of like who they are as a person. So for me, I look for someone who is confident in themselves, as well as kind of takes the time to kind of know themselves to where they know their passions, they know their goals in life. I don't necessarily need them to kind of have it all figured out because I feel like that's part of the journey when it comes to people falling in love and starting a life together, is kind of figuring out where they're going in life together. But I do look for someone who is self-aware and realizes that when it comes to living life, you have to be intentional about it. So the next question, I'm not sure if you guys are trying to hack into my social security or whatever because you wanted to know what my mom's name is, but my mom's first name is Tina, for those of you that were wondering. Also, look at this awesome shirt that I was sent by the Queer as Cast. My favorite guy on that show is definitely Anthony, so super excited about this shirt. There's definitely a lot of things that I could probably learn from him because I am absolutely horrible at cooking. I definitely, when I'm watching that show, that is something that I kind of take note of. I have his first book that he put out, and I'm most definitely going to get the second one when it comes out because the recipes and stuff in there are definitely very useful for me. Okay, so the next question is, what is one of my favorite dates that I've been on? So for me personally, I'm very nerdy, and I also absolutely love architecture. And as a kid, one of my favorite places that I went was Monticello. I actually went on a date to Monticello, and this was like kind of the second date that we went on. So we were still in the process of kind of getting to know each other. But for me, I was personally excited about the date because I didn't even suggest that we go to Monticello. That was something that he brought up because it was also something that he was super passionate about. And that's something that I think makes a date even better when you kind of get to see someone's passion kind of ignite, because he was just so excited about being there. And when we were going on the tours and walking around the grounds, like he was just like enthralled with everything and was just like soaking it all in. And I think that that kind of makes a date special when you can kind of see someone's passion shining through. Okay, so question number 19 is, where do I want to get married? And that's a hard one. For me, like, I've struggled with the idea of marriage for some time now. Not because I don't want to get married, but because, like, for me, I think gay marriage is still really hard to, like, imagine and picture because I haven't seen a lot of them. And I also think that when it comes to getting married, like, I think that when it comes to being a couple, I think that the events that kind of unfold in your life kind of define where a marriage would happen or a wedding would happen. So for me, I would want the wedding to be somewhere that's special and unique to us as a couple. So maybe like Monticello would be a fun place to go have a wedding. But I think that that is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm the type of person that if I were to propose to someone, I would want to do it in a unique way that's special to us. So like maybe propose to them where our first date was, or propose to them where like a cute meeting space was that kind of holds some significance to our relationship. So question number 20 is rough. So what is something that I still struggle with to love about myself? And I think that that's something that we need to talk more about, just because when it comes to loving yourself, it is so important. And I think that a lot of people see my content and hear the things that I say, and I talk about how I've really found love for myself. And it's really important for me to kind of love myself to kind of move forward in life. But there are definitely days where I still kind of struggle. Like for me personally, like this little guy here in the middle of my forehead, like I don't always love him there. As you can see, like I kind of have freckles and moles all over my body, and I'm slowly learning to love those about myself. I'm slowly starting to realize that those are a beautiful piece of me, but there are definitely days where I don't feel that way. And I think that it's important for us to acknowledge that there are struggles when it comes to loving ourselves, even when we've come so far and learned to love other parts of ourselves that we didn't used to love. But I just wanted to kind of share that with everyone because I think that we're all on a journey learning how to love ourselves more every day. And as you all can see, like it is a struggle to get my hair to lay down the way that I want it to lay down. And we will eventually get this down and right. We'll just have to figure it out. So yeah, eventually. So the next question you all asked was, if one social media had to be deleted and erased forever, which one would I be willing to say goodbye to? And for me personally, it would probably be Snapchat, because I feel like that one for me is one that is the least authentic in a way that so many people are worried about streaks and not really having real conversations. So for me, I really only use it for like my carpool karaoke, as well as kind of verifying people from dating apps on whether or not they're actually who they say they are, because there are a lot of people out there that catfish people. There are a lot of people out there that are using my pictures to catfish people, which I apologize for. That really sucks that that happens. But we live in a day and age where it's pretty easy to figure out if someone's not real. So do what you need to do to make sure people are real and not using someone else's pictures. So the next question that you all asked is, what's one of my happiest memories that I have? And for me personally, like when it comes to happiest memories, I like being around people who are passionate about what they love doing and they are like actually doing it. So for me, I really enjoy going to things like VidCon and Playlist and being around other people who are creatives, who absolutely love doing what they're doing. And it honestly, like, the energy that you feel when you're at those types of places is so amazing because you are surrounded by people who are just kind of thriving off of each other's energy. And every single time I've gone to one of those events, I have made new friends and collabed with new people. I mean, one of my closest friends that I've got today is someone that I met at a Playlist Live. So I absolutely love those types of things. Of course, VidCon and Playlist have been canceled due to COVID these past 2 years, but those are definitely some of my happiest moments because it's just the energy that you feel when you're surrounded by people who are like-minded and who are just out there wanting to create and make the world a better place. So another question you all had was, what is my go-to karaoke song? So I don't know if I really have had one that's like my go-to. If I want to do a duet with someone, I probably do the song by Amy Lee because I think that song Broken is just a phenomenal song. I can do the lower voice parts, and I think that is a really fun song to sing. And of course, one that I'm really famous for singing is the Frozen song, Let It Go. When I went on the trip to Puerto Rico, when I won that trip through Best Buy for being one of their top salespeople, they had a huge day of karaoke on one of their stages, and no one was getting up and doing anything. So I figured that since Frozen had just come out that winter, I thought it'd be a fun song to kind of sing and get up on stage and kind of get people to get excited about karaoke. So for the rest of the week that I was in Puerto Rico, I was known as the Let It Go boy or Elsa or the Frozen guy. So that's always a fun memory to think of as well. Okay, so the next question you all asked me was, how many books do I own? And I think that probably is a question that I will say as many as the stars in the sky, because I probably do not want to sit down and count how many I have, because the amount of money I spend on books is insane. Like if you look up here, like I turned the above my closet into a bookshelf, as well as having tons of books in my desk, as well as like if you look over here, I've got tons of books over here, and over there. There's just books everywhere. So honestly, I don't think I want to take the time to count, because I will probably begin to feel really guilty of how much money I've spent on books over the years. Okay, so this next question is, could you ever date a girl? I am one of those people that I believe everyone is kind of on the spectrum somewhere when it comes to our sexual orientation and our attraction to people. But I will say that I'm probably really, really far over on the guy being 100% gay. I would say that I'm in that range just because for me personally, like, I'm just not sexually attracted to women. I think that women are great. I absolutely love all of my friends that I have in my life that are women, and I tend to kind of form closer relationships with my female friends, especially compared to straight men. But I am definitely going to say that dating a girl, I think that would just be doing her a disservice, because if she caught feelings for me, the most that I could ever reciprocate is like friendship. Another question you all asked is, am I right-handed or left-handed? So I am a right-handed person. I cannot do much with my left hand. I hurt my right hand hiking once, and my left hand had to kind of start to be my dominant hand for a little bit, and the handwriting was horrible, tying shoes sucked, and so many other things. So I'm definitely a right dominant hand person, but I'm trying to train my left hand as much as I can. I've tried to learn piano, and my right hand can usually get it. It's like this hand-eye coordination, but this guy over here, like no matter how much I focus on, even if I just play the left hand, he seems to struggle a lot more with playing piano. So question number 27, who is the most famous person that I've talked to? So for those of you that have watched my content over the years, you will know that the most famous person that I probably know is my dad's friend from high school, who is now known for his role in a lot of different shows, but his most famous one is the Law & Order SVU, and that is Chris Maloney. He has known me ever since I was born, and he is someone that I've also kind of talked to when it comes to my relationship with my dad, because he's been my dad's friend for so long, and when it comes to kids and dads, the relationships aren't always there. So it's been kind of nice to be able to talk to Chris about my dad and who he was before I was born and who he is now. And it kind of helped me realize that maybe it wasn't so much the fact that I was gay that my dad and I haven't been able to have a good relationship. It's just that him and I are just completely different people, and that makes it really hard for us to form any type of relationship. Okay, so the next question that you all asked is, where do I want to travel once this pandemic is over and it is safe to travel again? And I will say that I most definitely want to get over to Italy and France and Germany and the UK, as well as Iceland, because those are all kind of places that I was planning on traveling in 2020 before the pandemic hit. I had gotten my passport and I was super excited about traveling, and that all got canceled because of the pandemic. So those are definitely my top rated places that I want to travel. But for me, I honestly love traveling, and I love getting to know different people and different cultures by kind of just absorbing it in its kind of natural space. So for me, I would be happy just traveling just about anywhere. And also, as you all can see, I did clean out my closet a lot. I have all of these shirts and jackets and hoodies and all that fun stuff here. I did put up a Poshmark website page, so I will leave that down below. You can check it out in the link. It's shopping in my closet for those of you that are interested in kind of helping me out by thinning these out. And I definitely want to kind of make some money off of these. So for those of you that are interested, most of the hoodies and sweatshirts and stuff are larges. Most of the t-shirts are mediums. And hopefully some of you guys will want some of them because there are so many different things. All of you that watch me on Instagram know that my closet got so full that it kind of collapsed. The metal bars could not hold all the clothes that I had in there. So I decided to get rid of, I would say this is probably about 25%. I still want to go through and get rid of more. So definitely check those links out below if you're interested in getting any of those shirts or hoodies from me. So question number 29 is, what is my biggest regret? There are so many different things that have kind of gone through my mind over the years where it's like, well, what if I had done this? What if I had done this? And I like to say that I live my life with no regrets, but there are definitely some things that kind of run through my mind of, wow, I wonder where I would be if I took that opportunity instead of letting it pass me by. And one of those is when I auditioned for the Glee show. And most of you probably saw the Darren Criss poster that I have on my wall. Glee was definitely one of my favorite shows just because I was also in show choir in high school. I absolutely love music, and a lot of the Glee songs were really good, and a lot of the stories just kind of had that feel-good momentum to it. It broke my heart when we lost a couple of the cast members from that show. It's definitely a sad thing to see, but I still do follow a lot of the people on Glee. So for me, I auditioned for Glee. I got into a couple of the rounds when it came to submitting videos and all that fun stuff. But then when it came to me actually driving to New York to do an audition in New York, I got broken up with by my boyfriend at the time, and I was supposed to leave that night to get there so I could do the audition in the morning. And I just wasn't feeling very gleeful at that time. And it was a long-term relationship that ended, so it wasn't like something small. It was big for me, and he had just packed all of his stuff and left. And that was really hard for me. So I would say that that's one of my regrets, is letting something like that interfere with me doing something that I probably would have really enjoyed in life. Not saying that I'm like the best actor, but gosh, if I got onto that show, I would have given it my all because it was something that I absolutely loved. I love the storylines of it. And yeah, that's the one thing that I kind of think about a lot of. I wonder where I would be if I had like gone to New York and gone through the audition process. Okay, so question number 30 is, how do I deal with sadness? And honestly, that's a good question because I think that for me personally, there's different levels of sadness. I feel like there have been times where sadness for me is easy to get over by surrounding myself with positive people who love me dearly, and that just kind of brings me out of the sadness that I'm in. But there are also other types of sadness where even when I'm surrounded by tons of positive people or listening to upbeat positive music, like it still kind of sits there and lingers, and it's really hard to kind of get out of that space. But I've also learned that just kind of creating an environment that like creates positivity naturally for me, whether it's having friends that are surrounding me on a daily basis, and it's not that I have to call upon them, but it's just they're there, as well as keeping my house clean. So yes, this is a huge pile of clothes, but for the most part, our apartment is very clean here. And as soon as you all buy all of these, this will no longer be a huge pile in my room. So get them while you still can. I absolutely want you all to have these because I think that it's kind of fun to kind of give out pieces of myself to the people who inspire me as well as support me through everything on a day-to-day basis. Number 31, what is something that I have done in my life that I'm really proud of? Honestly, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, I feel like I've created a space where positivity can thrive and people can come when they need to kind of have their day brightened a little bit. I try to put posts out that kind of inspire and not kind of fall into the dark pit of social media that kind of post all the drama and all the anger and all the negativity. So for me to have built such an empire of positive talk series, I think that that is something that I'm really proud of because I'm now 153 episodes in. I'm posting them here on YouTube and they're all over on Instagram. So for me, I'm really proud of that because if you think about all the time that has gone into all the YouTube videos that I've made, as well as all the connections that I've made so that I can do positive talk collabs, like that is something that I'm extremely proud of because I feel like the messages that are going out in those lives as well as my YouTube videos are just beautiful things that the world needs more of. Okay, so this next question is, what is my favorite piece of clothing? So you can already see it, but when you come into my closet, which I now have fixed and I've thinned out so you guys can see that all these hangers used to be connected to clothes, and those are the ones that are over on my desk now. But I would say my favorite piece of clothing is something that I found at a vintage store here in Richmond, and it's supposed to be kind of like the 70s theme, but it's definitely this one here. I absolutely love this. So I would say back in the day, I probably would have never bought something like this because it screams when you wear it. But for me personally, like now, I feel like this kind of represents me as a person. It's kind of like a light and a beacon, and I absolutely love this. So this is definitely my favorite piece right now as of September 2021. And last but not least, question number 33, because I am 33 this year. Your question is, what is my favorite drink? If you're talking about alcoholic drinks, I personally would say the Russian Mule. I am not a person that really drinks alcoholic drinks. I don't like to pay for alcohol. So if I go out and we're drinking and my friends buy me a drink, I will drink it. But for the most part, I don't like spending money on getting drunk because I don't love the feeling, and I don't love like the feeling afterwards as well. Like I don't like spending a day recovering from drinking something that I could have just drank water or healthier things and had a better day. I am more of an energy drink type person. For those of you that know me, my old coworker Tina used to yell at me all the time for the amount of energy drinks that I drink. There's actually one that is like a Russian Mule or Moscow Mule from Monster that tastes amazing. I try to stay away from the ones that have like real sugar in it because those kind of make me bloat and jittery. But I would definitely say that energy drinks are something that I am working on not drinking as much. Of course, now that I am an entrepreneur and working my own hours, I can kind of sleep in until I feel rested. But there are definitely some days where I have to get up and I know that I need to get certain things done. and I need to be in a good headspace with enough energy to get done and not feel like I'm a walking zombie. So I will occasionally still grab some coffee or an energy drink to get me pumped and ready for the activity that I'm about to do. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I know that it probably is a little bit longer than some of my other videos, but those were some of the questions that you all came up with over on my Instagram account. But if you have any more questions and you like this video, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I love hearing from you all, and I will try to answer as many as I can. Maybe I'll even do another one of these videos for you all if this is something that you like. But as always, I love you all so much. Feel free to follow me on my other social medias. Like I said in my other video, I did start my Patreon account so that you all can love and support me there. So check that out. There's lots of behind the scenes footage in my Patreon, as well as first dibs on some of the things that I'm doing as giveaways and all of that fun stuff as well. And as always, hopefully you all are having a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.